Hey Raider Nation, hold on tight because the news coming out of Las Vegas is going to make your hair stand on end. After a tough loss to the Miami Dolphins, the Raiders are making some major roster changes to help them get their team back on track. Releases, returns, and preparation for upcoming challenges are all on the team's radar. Want to know all the details and how this could impact the rest of the season? Then stick with us. The Raiders suffered another loss last Sunday, this time against the Miami Dolphins, with a score that left the team at 2-8 on the season. The situation is not encouraging, but it does have a positive side. The team is now in a strategic position to secure a high pick in the next NFL draft in 2025. With that, the future could be brighter, with a possibility of impactful reinforcements. While the draft is on the horizon, it's important to remember that no player wears a uniform to lose on purpose. Every game is still viewed as an opportunity to show competitiveness and grit. The Raiders may be struggling in the standings, but the culture of fighting on the field remains alive, which is a positive. That don't give up mentality will be essential in the upcoming matches. Despite the underwhelming campaign, the Raiders' focus remains on competing, even if the ultimate goal of the season has changed. The team is adjusting its roster to meet the challenges, and this is where the changes start to make sense. The loss to the Dolphins was not only tough on the scoreboard, but it also brought headaches to the medical department. Injuries to key players put the team on alert, forcing the front office to act quickly. To prepare the team for the upcoming games, changes to the practice squad were inevitable. The depth of the roster is always tested at times like this, and the Raiders needed to create space to bring in reinforcements. This type of movement is common in the NFL, especially when a team faces a string of games against tough opponents. Planning is key to avoiding unpleasant surprises. The board's decision to release some players was purely strategic. It's not about cutting for the sake of cutting, but about making room for players who can contribute immediately in the event of more injuries or subpar performances. Want to know who stayed and who left? Let's go. To make room on the roster, the Raiders opted to release linebacker Blake Lynch and tight end Trayvon Wesco from the practice squad. Lynch had been used as a depth piece on defense, but his production was not enough to justify keeping him at this critical point in the season. Trayvon Wesco, on the other hand, had limited involvement in the attack without making any major impacts that would have guaranteed his place. The decision to release him was seen as a necessity to bring in players who would meet the current demands of the team. These moves show that the board is focused on practical adjustments. While these releases may seem small, they indicate careful planning. The Raiders are moving quickly to fill gaps and keep the season from falling apart even further. So, who has stepped in to replace them? Let's find out right now. One of the most notable additions following the releases was the return of wide receiver Alex Bachmann. The player has already appeared in a few games this season, and while he hasn't put up impressive numbers, his experience with the Raiders' offensive system could come in handy in this transition phase. Bachmann is known for his short route ability and versatility on offense. With the team dealing with injuries in key areas, his presence gives the quarterback more options. Plus, he has a hard-working mentality, which is always welcome in tough times. His return to the squad is a preventive and strategic measure. He is not expected to be the savior of the nation, but he is expected to play an important role in keeping the attack functional while the starters deal with physical problems. Could he surprise us in the upcoming games? Stay tuned. The Raiders' upcoming games will not be easy. The team faces tough opponents such as the Denver Broncos, Kansas City Chiefs, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Atlanta Falcons. This sequence will require maximum preparation and effort, both from the squad and the coaching staff. The biggest challenge, without a doubt, will be facing Patrick Mahomes' Chiefs. The Raiders' defense, led by Max Crosby, will have to bring its A-game to pressure the opposing quarterback and prevent big plays. Every mistake can cost them dearly against opponents of this caliber. Additionally, the Raiders' offense needs to be more consistent to compete with these teams. Recent adjustments, such as the re-signing of Bachmann and the work on the offensive line, will be tested to the limit. The question is, will these adjustments be enough? Let's take a look at the developments. Even in the loss to the Dolphins, the Raiders' offense showed some signs of progress. Under the guidance of offensive line coach Joe Philbin, we saw an improvement in quarterback protection and short passing efficiency. While the end result wasn't what we wanted, there were positives. The quick passes and reduction in sacks allowed the quarterback more time to make decisions. This, in itself, is already a victory in terms of development. Additionally, the offensive line was more solid in opening up spaces for short runs. However, there is still a lot to improve. Deep attack remains an area of concern as few opportunities were created for explosive plays. The evolution is clear, but will it happen quickly enough for the next clashes? Coach Joe Philbin has brought his wealth of experience to the Raiders, and so far, the results show that he is making a difference. He noted that the offense has become more efficient, especially in short passes and protecting the quarterback. Still, he acknowledges that there is room for further adjustments. Philbin's arrival has been a breath of fresh air for the coaching staff. His ability to work with offensive lines is recognized throughout the NFL, and the first fruits of that labor are beginning to appear. Still, time is against him, with the season already nearing its end. Can he help transform the Raiders' offense ahead of the toughest games? That's a question all of us fans are eager to see answered on the field. For now, the improvement is cause for hope. While the offense is still looking for consistency, the defense has been the heart of the Raiders this season. Led by the monster Max Crosby, the defensive unit has shown grit and determination, even in difficult games. Against opponents like Mahomes and company, pressure on the QB will be crucial. Crosby has been a sack machine, constantly forcing mistakes out of his opponents. However, he can't do it all by himself. The secondary will need to adjust and improve its coverage to avoid big plays against teams with high-powered offenses. The defense will have the difficult task of balancing aggression with discipline. Stopping players like Mahomes or neutralizing the Broncos won't be easy. But if there's one thing Raider Nation knows, it's that this defensive unit never gives up. We're ready to see that in action. Even though the 2024 season is all but lost, the Raiders already have their sights set on 2025. With a potential high draft pick and salary cap space, there is great potential to build a competitive team. But until then, the present needs to be faced with determination. These roster moves show that management is balancing preparing for the future with the need to compete now. For the players, each game is still an opportunity to prove themselves and secure their place in the team next season. Rooting for the Raiders is never easy, but it's always exciting. The present may be tough, but the future is bright. And in the meantime, Raider Nation will be here, supporting the team until the last whistle. So, Raider Nation, what do you think of these changes? Even in these tough times, we are a passionate and loyal fan base. The season may not be going the way we wanted, but we know the future holds great moments for the silver and black. Leave your opinion in the comments, like this post, and activate the bell to receive all the Raiders updates. Let's continue cheering together, because after all, we are Raider Nation until the end.